I talked about my dad on one video and how warm and loving he was to me when I came out. That surprised me. But my mom had a different reaction, and she didn't understand it. She was very Catholic. She believed in what the priest always said: homosexuality was a sin. We're all going to hell. And it created quite a conflict between my mom and myself. She was one of 10 children, and she never finished high school. She wasn't a person that you would say is intellectual. She didn't read books, but she was a good daughter, a good sibling, and she was a good mother in that she did the best she could. My mom would work 2 jobs. She worked very, very hard. My dad had back injuries, so my mom was actually the breadwinner of the family, and you can't take that away. She was a wonderful mother in that way. And when my dad passed, I took my mom on vacations, and I really loved and enjoyed my mom's company. But in my growing up, she wanted things from me that didn't fit. She was afraid of people. From the time she was a little girl, like 10 years old, her stepfather tried to rape her. In high school, one of the boys on the football team tried to rape her. And then there was another incident later on. And this made her very afraid of people. And she tried to put that on me, and I didn't want that. I like to be open. I like to relate to people, even strangers. I would often keep my front door unlocked when I lived in Long Beach by myself. It didn't bother me. But my mom not only wanted to lock the door, she wanted a deadbolt put on, and then she wanted iron bars on top of that, so there was a second door with a deadbolt. She was just very afraid of strangers, and I understand it from her background. I think it was a really good thing that I was wise to know why this happened to her, why she believed that, why she was afraid of so many people. Because I could say, I see what happened to her, but I don't want to grow up afraid of people. I like people. I like to interact with people. And I know when I came out, my dad said, "Oh, Mom is praying that I'm going to be okay, and praying that all this gets resolved." And she was praying to this saint and praying to that saint. And eventually, and I mean maybe 20 years later, she became okay with it. But it was kind of always there in the background. I'm sure she would have preferred to have 3 straight boys instead of 2 straight and 1 gay. I said, "Mom, you always wanted to have a son-in-law, and I'm the only one that can give it to you." Meaning, of course, that my other brothers gave her daughter-in-laws. So at least my dad was very accepting. And one thing I did sort of as a self-preservation thing when I was more of a young teenager and an older teenager, I connected with a friend of mine in high school. His name is Robert Thomas. And we became very good friends. He was straight, but I liked him. I liked his personality. And I went over to his house to meet his parents. I liked them. What a difference from my parents to his parents. These people just embraced me with open arms. Of course, now they didn't know I was gay, but it was like my second family. And it just took so much pressure off because I didn't enjoy living at home. So I'd just go to the Thomas household, and we would just laugh and joke and everything. And I just loved them to death. That was my second family. 5 or 10 years after I first met him, I came out as a gay man, and he was trying to figure that out. He was and still is more of a fundamentalist Christian, and we sort of drifted apart. Then about 5 years ago, I contacted him, and I said, "Why don't you come over, Robert? Let's talk." And he came over, And we rekindled our friendship. I mean, I've known him for like 50 years plus, and it was just so nice to see him. And he comes and visits, and it's just a wonderful relationship. So sometimes when you have difficulties with your family, connect with another family, at least another person, and explore life, you know. I really enjoyed that family, and I enjoyed his sister, became a really good friend of mine, and that made life as a young man and a teenager and beyond so much more tolerable and joyful and pleasant. At one time, long before I met my husband Doug, I was dating this young man named Kenny. And as a lot of young relationships do, they break up. And those breakups are kind of hard. And I was really kind of depressed. I went over to see my parents, and it surprised the hell out of me. My mom looked at me and said, "You know, Jack, he wasn't the right man for you." That felt really good, you know, meaning that there is a right man for me. And she did love Doug, my current husband, very much. So she did progress. My brothers used to complain that mom loves you best. I didn't see it that way, but both my mom and my dad kind of put me on a pedestal in that I went to college and my brothers didn't. I was the first one in our family that went to college, and I studied political science. And at times when she had an issue with some financial thing, or maybe it was who should I vote for on the ballot or something, she would always ask my opinion, and she never asked my brother's opinions. So in her own secret way, she did respect me and approve of me. And of course she loved me as much as I loved her. So I just wanted to kind of share that with you. And if my family is listening, and I know they are, I've always loved my mom. I've always treated her with respect, and I would do anything for her because she's my mom. So the fact that we have some difference about my sexuality, it didn't matter how I treated my mother. And she has passed so many years ago, but I just wanted to share that with you. And thank you for watching.